The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Go Cowboys! This is Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw Dating, preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and broadcasting live from Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star. Now, your hosts, Christy Scales, Aisha Morrison, Nicole Hutchison, and Jess Navarez.
Welcome into Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw, the preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys. In the SWBC studio, got myself, Nicole Hutchison, in the stew. And we got Aisha Morrison, Christy Scales, and Jess Navarez. I'm sorry.
Whoa.
I don't know what happened there.
Whoa, girl.
I don't know what happened there.
You know what? It's a Victory Monday.
It's a Victory Monday.
All is good.
Sorry. Victory Monday feels sweet like this chocolate chip cookie, y'all.
Yeah, victory cookies.
They taste so much better when they win.
No.
They do.
Yeah, facts.
They do.
They do.
Facts. Cowboys get the dub over Washington in Week 18 for the NFC East title. Oh my goodness! I'm sorry. I was the cookie. They're second in 3 seasons, and now they've clinched the number 2 seed in the NFC playoffs. Now it's time to go.
Yeah, I'm hyped.
Playoffing. Yeah, I think
I'm
everybody's
trying to hold
hyped.
myself together.
I don't think I've ever seen you this excited before.
I'm
Aisha.
ecstatic. And I missed y'all.
That too. That part.
you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's talk about this dub, y'all. I mean, Christy, you were there. We'll start with you always. What were your thoughts? I mean, this offense clicking, defense getting after it, setting the tone. I mean, you had everything click, and other than special teams, we're gonna.
Yeah, well,
let Brandon Aubrey.
special teams taketh, but they also giveth. That
Yes.
Peyton Hendershot block punt,
yeah.
that was
Oh,
a thing
so
of beauty. I
good.
mean,
Yeah.
he just played it
So
perfectly and taking it right off of Tressway's foot, the Washington punter. But great Cowboy fan base. Shout out. Usually it's about 2/3 Cowboys fans at FedEx Field, especially the last several years when Washington's been so bad. Y'all,
said 2/3?
no exaggeration. Probably 80% of the fans yesterday.
Since
I think
Benchgate?
were since Benchgate, before
Throwback.
Benchgate. That's right. I like that. Yeah, really, it sounded like a Cowboys home game, and we kept. Not only did we continue to see the Dak CD, to see Brandon Cook step up and get in the end zone. I really liked the way that Pollard and Dowdle were running the ball.
Absolutely.
And I liked to see Dowdle involved a little more in the passing game. He ended up with 3 catches for 54 yards. And the defense, just the way that they were able, as the game went on, to continue to get pressure on Sam Howell. And, of course, that pressure led directly to the turnover, one of the interceptions, and then Jordan Lewis stealing the ball away from the runner. I thought, other than the uneven on special teams, I thought it was just a great way to gain momentum and go into postseason.
Yeah, to me, it proved a couple of things. The first being, teams play the Cowboys differently. It doesn't matter where they are in the season, who they are, what their record is. They're going to try to throw everything at the Dallas Cowboys, and that's exactly what the Commanders did. The misdirection, it was in the room with us, guys. It was there, and I watched a few of Washington's games to kind of just try to find good matchups. I'm sorry, they had not done that all season. That was insane. But it also showed on the Cowboys side of things that they can adjust, and their adjustments consistently throughout the game is what won them this game. So, Christy, to your point, offense clicked. Everything clicked like it needed to. This was the confidence-building game that you wanted to see, especially with that run game. All eyes were on Tony Pollard, Rico Dowdle, and I don't know about y'all, but Tony Pollard looked like Tony Pollard.
Yeah, it was all
again.
the yards after contact, constantly going forward and
Shout
doing
out
it
O-line.
without your two, without your two guards.
Yeah.
Shout out Brock Hoffman
Yeah.
and TJ Bass for really stepping in in place of Zach Martin and Tyler Smith. But no, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Aisha. My bad.
Uh,
Oh no, for you to host. I thought it was a complete win, and that's kind of what I was looking for. This game is for them to, number one, just go and take the game, and I thought Brian calls it the middle 8. The 4 minutes before the half, the 4 minutes after the half. Cowboys have struggled there, and they also haven't done super well coming out after the half. To see them double dip was what it gave me so much confidence because the urgency, you could feel the urgency from the offense, and they were moving the ball successfully and things like that. And then you have the obviously at the block, was it the block
field goal?
The block field goal.
Yeah.
But they came out, started fast, as you ladies talked about last week, but defensively as well, I thought it was just good to see. We've been slowly but surely seeing the other guys get involved in this defense. So you got contributions from Sam Williams, Dante Fowler. Those gentlemen, I think them playing well matters as well. And then Damone Clark, some of these
I think
guys.
that was his best game in several weeks, I think.
And that's what you want at this point in the year. You want to see some of those guys that are rotational pieces because they have those fresh legs. And for them to be getting confidence as well is going to matter because when you get in the playoffs, teams match up better against you. So you're going to need role players and those gentlemen to come in and make plays. So for me, I thought it was just a perfect way to end the season. The complete opposite of last year, I felt like.
Oh, yeah.
You have so much more confidence going, but that offense is operating at a very high level, and Mike McCarthy deserves a lot of credit for coming out there and putting together a game plan. And to your point, not knowing that he wasn't going to have his right guard until last minute. I thought it was pretty remarkable to see.
And this offense playing at that level that you're talking about, it kind of goes back to what Jess was saying about making adjustments, right?
Yeah.
Mike McCarthy being so willing to make adjustments throughout the middle of the season, since the bye week, really.
Yeah.
Just getting to know his player personnel. You have Dan Quinn making adjustments the last 3 weeks as far as his run defense is concerned. So I can say, like, that's pretty much like the story, I guess, of this season so far. Did y'all think from week one that this Cowboys team would go 12-5 and be the NFC East title champions?
Yes.
I thought they could for a minute with Philly. I think after
Frauds.
Frauds. Got some questions.
What did we say?
Got some questions about those.
What did we say? What did we say? Cowboys broke them.
It was fake. It was fake. But no, I will say after Philly, after 6 games in a season, when you start looking at Philly, you was like, all right, we're gonna wait.
Yeah. They're not all that.
We'll wait and see. Yes, they're not all that.
They peaked too early.
Yeah, absolutely. And so when the door opened up for Dallas, I love that Dak said, we just have to run our own race. And that's actually something my grandma says to me, so it really resonated with me, and they did that. Everything didn't go perfect for them at the end of the season. Obviously, the close game in Miami, the Buffalo game, everything didn't line up, the Detroit game. Yeah. Everything wasn't perfect, but I heard Dak say, that they learned from that. And to your point, Nicole, they did some self-scouting. Again, at this point in the season, that has been a big deal in this. And I feel like this coaching staff, them being able to hold themselves accountable has helped this team. Because if there's no accountability even for your coaching staff, and what does it mean to your locker room? If there's a continuous, we're trying to work on things, and I think that, to your point, has really helped this team this year.
Yeah, I also wanted to make mention of the cadence, and that's something that we've talked about all season, but you didn't see it on the road. You didn't see this offense as confident with that cadence that you see at AT&T Stadium. The very clear, here we go, here we go. Dak looked like he was playing at AT&T Stadium.
Well,
you could hear it on TV.
It was a Cowboys fan.
But
it was a
despite
home
that,
game in terms of sound and support.
But you finally got to put that narrative to rest that the Cowboys can't win on the road. And yes, it's the Commanders. They were 4-12 going in this game. They should have won this game. I get that.
Win is a
but
win.
you needed win is a win.
Hello.
But you needed the confidence boost to go into the playoffs. And what's funny enough is you had to win on the road to not have to play on the road in the playoffs.
Come on.
So the Cowboys absolutely did what they needed to. But the work doesn't stop. All gas.
No breaks.
No breaks.
It didn't look like it yesterday.
No.
Respectfully. That's one thing I have noticed about this team that I do like is that when they see that they can go win the game, and if you look at a lot of the blowouts and stuff at home, it happened in 2-3 minutes where it was, okay, offense scores, defense comes in and gets a stop, and then special teams comes through. I felt like they turned on that switch, and they definitely wanted to get out of that game a little earlier. I felt like.
Yeah.
But yeah, to your point, I felt like Mike McCarthy, again, he put together a really good game plan, and he also didn't show too much to me. I think a lot of what we saw are things that we've seen through the season. Yes. The ball distribution was on point, though. I thought about you.
Good.
Because to your point, Christy, everyone touched the ball.
That was a point of emphasis for McCarthy coming into this game was ball distribution.
Well, that's good to hear because, I mean, to see Jake Ferguson get going, Brandon Cooks got some burn, Hendershot got some burn.
Leaping Hendy? Are you kidding me?
Look.
I was losing it.
Listen,
I was losing my mind.
Turpin having the play out the backfield, which is a little wrinkle. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I see you, Mike.
CD got another one out the backfield.
CD was productive. Jalen Tolbert is involved. And then obviously the run game was successful as well with Rico and Tony. You see Lipke doing some things back there too, lead blocking. Everybody had a part of it. And confidence is a powerful thing, y'all. And I felt like the coach he sought out, like you just said, he sought out to make sure that everyone was going into the postseason with some confidence and some comfort and being involved in this offense specifically.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned a lot of those names like Hendershot and Jordan Lewis, another takeaway. Donovan Wilson continues to come on as he has the last several weeks. I'd like to mention somebody that is overlooked but is one of these key role players on the team. I thought one of the best plays, the best hustle play yesterday was Chauncey Golston.
Talk about him.
Chauncey Golston is a defensive lineman. He's tall and lean, and yet he plays a lot of special teams as a blocker. Basically, as an offensive lineman, he blocks on field goals and extra points. And so when the field goal block happened yesterday and Washington was returning it, it ended up being a 51-yard return for Washington by a cornerback. And yet Chauncey Golston, the defensive lineman, is flying down the field. And I mean that should have been 7 points right there for Washington. And Golston, he had a little bit of an angle, but that was pure speed and pure hustle. And so when it's guys like Golston, when it's guys like Lipke starting to come into his own, and when it's a guy like Brandon Aubrey and Mike McCarthy wanting to end the game, even though he's got his backups in there. It's Cooper Rush and 5 guys along the offensive line that are backups. He wanted to make sure that he got in field goal range so that Brandon Aubrey, and it ended up being a 50-yard field goal, and it was windy yesterday.
I
was going to ask you about the weather.
It was windy, and yet he just nailed it straight down the middle, and so everybody feels better moving forward because we were all thinking, oh, here we go, Brett Maher. You know?
It's really hard not to feel that deja vu feeling when it comes to missed kicks right before the playoffs, but something that, I've been kind of going back and forth with. I had to write a story. I feel like I'm the jinx, guys. I really do, because I just wrote a story about Brandon Aubrey, and I was like, he's going to break this record. And sorry, I won't do that again. But I think the biggest difference is, and this is no shade to Brett Maher at all. I'm just saying Brandon Aubrey has written his own story. He has a professional background. He knows how to stay composed even when things aren't going his way. He's a professional athlete through and through, even before being the Dallas Cowboys kicker. So to see him not be phased was my biggest thing for him was, okay, you had the block field goal. See what happens. Oh, there's a miss. Okay, now what is he going to do? And I loved hearing Mike talk about today.
Yes.
I wanted to make sure he had another opportunity, because that shows you the faith, one, that they have in Brandon Aubrey, and two, that they know he's capable of doing it, and he has that mindset of a professional athlete to turn the page. And that's something he talked about earlier this week, is I take each kick for what it is, and I wipe away the last one, good or bad. And so to actually see that happen, and I could tell it was windy. As soon as he missed that field goal,
it got caught.
I looked at the wind speed.
I saw it the ball kind of gets stuck at that point, and then it bounced off.
Well, from the start of the game, they couldn't even keep the
ball on
yes.
the tee.
Yes.
Actually, the start of each half. So it blew off twice at the start of the. Actually, it's interesting because one of the things we were talking about was all gas, no break, and the past few times that the Cowboys had won the toss and they elected to take the ball first to get the offense out there and play with a lead. And it was so windy yesterday that I remember saying on air in pregame on Dallas Cowboys radio, I think if the Cowboys win the toss, they're going to defer to the second half so that you can decide which direction you're going to go, because you're going to need the win possibly in this game.
Smart.
Yep.
And so that's one reason why they deferred. it was a big factor, and it's so interesting because one of the things that has happened over the last several years in the NFL is the rules, which to make the game safer, have basically negated kickoff returns, right? And so yesterday it was so windy that anytime they were kicking towards the north, the ball kicking toward the other way towards the south. There's no way they were going to. There's no way it was going to reach the end zone and be a touchback. It was going to have to be a return. Oh, wow. And so there ended up being 4 kickoff returns in the game yesterday, only 1 by Turpin, 3 by Washington. So Mr. Automatic Touchback, Brandon Aubrey, who set an NFL record for most touchbacks this year, even he couldn't get the ball into the end zone in that wind. It was 14 miles an hour at kickoff, and it was gusting up to 29 miles an hour. So it was a factor.
From your perspective, Christy, did the operation look good with the kick, or what did you think
you mean
about
with the blocked field goal?
No.
It was a breakdown with
it was
between
Terrence Steele and Biotish.
It was Biotish and Steele. Biotish is not the center on the field goals and extra points. Of course, that's Trent Sieg, but actually he plays more like guard, so Biotish does. So he moves over, and he's next to Terrence Steele, and the I think it's Pryor, the name of the Washington player.
Yep.
Josh Pryor. He just came through a gap. Basically, I think it was a miscommunication between the two. One blocked out and the other one didn't, and so it basically just opened the gap. And so we say Brandon Aubrey missed the field goal, and technically it goes down as a miss. Yeah. But that had nothing to do with Brandon Aubrey. That was just allowing the rusher to come free.
What about the second? Well, I was asking about the second one.
The second one where he hit the upright on the left side was not due to the wind. In fact, I think that was that was a 36-yarder, and Aubrey, after the game, said that he basically just kind of wrapped his toe a little too much around the outside of the ball, around the outside, and it pulled to the left and hit off the left upright. So no blaming the wind on that one.
It's so interesting, like the logistics that go into kicking the ball. It's and the precision that goes into
it's centimeters.
How to kick it.
It's a game of centimeters when it comes to special teams. We talk about a game of inches. Not in special teams.
Y'all aren't concerned though about Brandon Aubrey.
Okay. No, I'm not.
No. So we all agree with that.
Yeah, we're good. And you know, the thing is like I was saying, it's hard not to get deja vu, and I understand people's kind of reaction based on what happened last year. I get it. I was right there with you. I understand. But you can't just negate what Brandon Aubrey has done this season and his story and just everything he has done since July in training camp to be the kicker he has become now. You can't just forget that. And he's been consistent. And honestly, look, get the miss out of the way in that game. I don't want to see it in the playoffs. Get it out of the way. Yeah, that's something that I'm sure special teams is going to tighten up if it's up to Bones Fossil to make sure that does not happen again. Get it out of the way, and I don't want to see it the rest of playoffs.
Well, the best part is that there shouldn't be any inclement weather in
AT&T Stadium.
Yeah, it really is. And also with the passing game and being able to play fast. Hey, I'm telling you, we really lucked out with the weather yesterday because when we landed, actually we fly in and out of Baltimore instead of Washington, D.C., but of course Baltimore was hosting Pittsburgh on Saturday afternoon, and those of you who watched the game saw how ugly it was in terms of the weather. It just rained consistently through that whole game, and that's what we landed in, and it was that way all night. But I'll just take credit for clean living, that we had really nice conditions, windy but no precipitation, and it was in the 40s. So really, for that time of year, we've been lucky the whole season, really.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take our first break and talk offense coming up after this first break of the show. You're watching Girls Talk Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw, the preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys. We'll be right back.
We know that juicy, cheesy, grilled to perfection burger sounds amazing, but it does sound like something is missing. Pepsi, baby! The yin to this burger's yang. Burgers and Pepsi go together like burgers and Pepsi. This perfect blending of flavors makes every bite of lettuce, every sesame seed on the bun, and every sip of that crisp, refreshing, ice-cold cola a journey to Foodtopia. Burgers, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
At Jigsaw Dating, we obviously want the Cowboys to bring that 6th ring home. But to be honest, we're more focused on finding the person who will put a ring on your finger. That's why we created a dating app that reveals your face through meaningful conversation, so you can date deeper. Because it's personality that matters the most, not looks. Join Jigsaw Dating today, dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Demarcus Lawrence is the Dallas Cowboys nominee for the 2023 Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year Award presented by Nationwide. Help Tank raise funds for Dak Prescott's Faith Fight Finish Foundation by casting your vote on NFL.com/Man of the Year or tweet your support using hashtag WPMOY challenge. Voting ends on January 8th, so go vote for Tank. It ends today. Go vote for Tank right now. Not if you're driving. If you're doing anything else, go vote for Tank right now. I better see it on Twitter. Go vote for him.
Yeah.
Deserves to win.
Should they DM you and tell you that they voted?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Please.
Cool.
DM me, let me know, send screenshots, send proof. Go vote right now. I want to see it. My DMs better be blowing up right now.
What's gonna happen though if they what they don't send you proof?
I'll know.
You're gonna know.
She's
I'll
going to
know.
send Tank.
Period.
Yeah.
Because
we don't want them problems.
He's been retweeting and stuff.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
It'd be good for him.
I'll do something about
He's
it.
It's
had
a
a
well-deserved,
fantastic-
well-deserved
He's-
nomination.
for sure.
He's
Yes.
playing so well.
Oh, he's amazing.
Y'all,
Vintage Tank.
he's
Go
unfair.
vote for Tank.
He is unfair.
You know who played unfair yesterday?
Here we go.
4?
The Dallas Cowboys offense.
Well, yeah, they were
They
a little
played unfair.
disrespectful.
But no, they scored on almost every drive. Well, including of course Brandon Aubrey. But just talk about, you know how we typically say they left plays off the field. I feel like they didn't yesterday. I mean, you look at the touchdown drives. You had Jalen Tolbert, the first one. Tony Pollard, their second touchdown of the game. CeeDee Lamb with 2 of the day. Brandon Cooks, of course, cooking. Love to see that. Just talk about the way.
She's stern.
Freaking Jess, man. But no, I mean, we kind of touched on it a little bit about the way that this offense is playing so well. But this run game, you know, they kind of struggled the last 2-3 weeks. Not able to rush over or under 100 yards, over 100 yards. But now you see Tony Pollard kind of peaking at the right moments. Credit to obviously the O-line. Just talk about those guys, TJ Bass and Brock Hoffman, the way that they stepped up yesterday.
Yeah, well, the team thought that Zach Martin was going to be available until just over an hour and a half before kickoff. You have to turn in your list of inactives 90 minutes before kickoff. So, and 2.5 hours before the game, I was told that they thought Zach was still going to play. But Tyron Smith and Zach Martin are the first 2 players out on the field pre-warm-ups. So went out there in just shorts and T-shirts and just doing some stretching and things like that. And they're always out there first. And Tyron was out there, but Zach was not. Zach actually never came out on the field. He spent the entire afternoon in the locker room basically laying on it, just trying to. He was really, really sick. And so Brock Hoffman, of course, is the Cowboys' backup center. But the good news is that last week, because they knew that Tyler Smith was not going to play with the plantar fasciitis in his left foot, TJ Bass, who normally gets the reps for Zach Martin at right guard, TJ had been working at left guard because they knew he'd have to play for Tyler Smith. So that left a hole at right guard. So it would be Chuma Edoga, right? Wrong. Chuma Edoga doesn't practice much because he's battling a sore toe. And so Brock Hoffman took Zach Martin's reps at right guard last week.
Oh, that's good
because
to know.
we know that Zach Martin, like Tyron Smith and D-Law and Gilmore, they don't really practice. I mean, they're out there,
they
but
have their
they don't do their
veteran
reps on. Their veteran rest day is Wednesday, and they don't even take all the reps on Thursday, to be honest. So Brock Hoffman would normally get the reps at backup center, but he worked nearly exclusively at right guard last week in practice, and that was fortuitous because who would have known that Zach Martin would would have gotten sick overnight, Saturday night into Sunday morning.
Yeah.
So it worked out very well. But still, to have both of your starting guards replaced, so basically 40% of your starting offensive line. And by the way, Tyler Biotis, your starting center, missed some practice time last week due to illness. So I thought those guys really, really stepped up. Did they catch a break that All-Pro Jonathan Allen was out of the game due to injury, and basically most of the secondary for the and missing linebackers and Jamin Davis and guys like that on IR. But even though they were going against a depleted Washington defense, I just thought that they held up well in the middle.
Yeah. Oh, my bad.
No, absolutely. And, it's so interesting to see the concept of veteran rest days and how they obviously help your veterans. And we've talked about this. I've talked to TJ Bass about this, but how it also helps these younger players grow and develop within the season as well, because they don't always get those game time reps. They don't always get those live game reps. So what they do is they plug and play really during those veteran rest days to be able to feel comfortable in the line. And so when things do happen, they have to step in. TJ Bass specifically, when I was talking to him about it, said he feels comfortable. If it's on the spot, on the fly, he feels good because he's done it before in practice. And it's on a consistent basis because these veteran rest days happen so often. So it's weird how that worked out this week.
Well, there's only one thing I was surprised about with the game. Let's just say that Brock Hoffman is very chippy.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so is Tyler Biotis.
Yeah,
and
Biotis
I was
crazy.
telling Brad and Babe during the breaks, I'm like, we're gonna have a fight. We're gonna have a fight before this game's over. We're gonna have a fight. We're gonna have a fight. We didn't have one, or not even a penalty. But anyway, they don't take gruff off of anybody.
But you need that from your offensive line, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Biotis is nuts. I don't care what anyone says. You go talk to him in the locker room. He's so nice, so chill, so calm.
Yeah.
And then you see him on the field, and I'm like, are you good?
Y'all surprised?
Yeah, but Hoffman's even more
They're the
chippy.
same,
He's the one that wears the eye black.
all
with the
this way,
thing, looks like a pro wrestler, like with the... I like him very much.
Also,
and I
take your
I was
vitamin
happy to
C.
see him get those reps and play well.
Take your vitamin C. There's something going around.
You said
That's why we're gonna scoot over here from
Yeah,
Jess. with
sorry.
you.
Wait,
guys,
lying.
I'm
I'm just playing.
Y'all said y'all was surprised by Hoff. That surprised you. Y'all remember training camp?
Oh yeah, with us. Yeah.
I wasn't here. What happened?
Nothing.
The
He
little
just don't take no
scuffles.
crap. Him and Tyler Biotis are roadies.
No, I'm not surprised that he was chippy. I'm surprised that there was no fight or flag.
Oh, okay.
That's what surprised me.
Yeah.
That's
Because
fair.
I thought
forget
for
about
sure
the
there would
training
be a
camp scuffle.
flag
Even
or
with
a
Micah,
fight.
and what was the old dude's name? The offensive lineman. There was, and I understood Micah's response because a couple plays before, dude literally just tossed him.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Are you not seeing what I'm going through right
Honestly,
now? Help me.
take a shot every time Micah Parsons does not get a holding penalty.
It's
It'd be
honestly,
a real fun game.
they're
for you
not
to
gonna
watch.
call it, and
No.
I'm just at a point to where
It was.
we gotta let it go.
I can't. I can't be like Elsa and let it go. I cannot.
Oh my God!
But I wanted to comment on the run
gosh,
game.
Just walked right into that Disney
Oh Jesus,
pun.
what's happening?
Let it go.
Let it go, like
it
Elsa. All right, never mind.
All right.
Move on.
Whatever.
Let it go. Let it
It's
go.
fine. Yeah, literally let it go.
Yeah, in regards
Can't
to the
hold it
run
back
game
anymore.
I thought they got back to doing things that they had done before, and also to your point, I thought they did this interior really moved guys off the ball well. But I liked, and I'm glad they did. They used the running backs in the receiving game, which really
You've been waiting for that.
Absolutely,
Been
which
itching for that, girl.
opens up your offense. It opens up your intermediate and shallow offense a lot. Just because, I mean, number one, we know what defense was playing. We got it. But at the same time, I thought schematically, to your point, I thought you mentioned Rico getting some passes as well. I thought it was dope that Mike McCarthy's like, well, it didn't work that time.
Let's try it again.
Let's do it again. It looked like
run it back.
You play smarter, not harder, and it was a smart play. But to your point, I thought that the offensive line they got a lot of push.
They did.
In that game. I mean, they were
did.
really moving Washington's defensive line out the way. But when they had to get out in space, we saw some of the athleticism from this offensive line. And I'm just going to finish with this in regard to the run game. Shout out to Terrence Steele for coming back from injury and playing.
Yes.
He's definitely been on an upward tick towards the latter part of the season, getting farther away from that injury. But also, you mentioned plenty of time, Christy, he's the only offensive lineman on this line that has not missed a game and not missed a snap.
Until the end of the fourth
Until the
quarter
end of the
at
fourth quarter.
5:15 to go in the fourth quarter,
don't
and
count,
they send
Christy.
out. And so Matt Willetsko, who, hey, kudos to him, working back from the shoulder injury,
Well, let's
finally got
go.
off IR,
Get in
and
there.
so they put him at right tackle. So Terrence is going to finish
missed
with
that one.
99%. Of snaps,
Wow. That's
on offense. The most of any player on the team, regardless of position. Gilmore actually is going to finish first with the most snaps on defense in the regular season. But, yeah, Terrence Steele did come off that serious injury. And, you're right. Thank you for mentioning him because he deserves all the kudos.
Yeah, this offensive line, though, certainly deserves some kudos. Just a little stats. I mean, everybody should know this, but Dak Prescott was not sacked, of course, and he was only pressured on 6 of 36 of his dropbacks. That's 16.7%, his fourth lowest in a game since 2018.
Yeah, and it was the pass to Tolbert where he had all that time and reset, and that was what, like 3.5 or 4.5 seconds.
The one
What was the one?
Even the one, no, the one with
The
CD.
touchdown.
Okay.
No, the one to CD.
CD, you're right. It was CD.
He was just
That's right.
bouncing.
The one on the right side?
Directed CD back over there. That's right. It was the CD
He
one.
directed CD.
Oh, the misdirection?
Yeah.
Where
Well,
he
no,
said,
just kind of pointed.
eat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, just all the time. He bought some of it, but certainly the offensive line did more than its fair share on that one. That was really excellent.
All right, well, we're going to take our second break of the show. You're watching Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw, the preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys. We'll be right back.
At Jigsaw Dating, we obviously want the Cowboys to bring that 6th ring home. But to be honest, we're more focused on finding the person who will put a ring on your finger. That's why we created a dating app that reveals your face through meaningful conversation, so you can date deeper. Because it's personality that matters the most, not looks. Join Jigsaw Dating today, dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
You know that sound anywhere. It's the crisp crunch of that first nacho chip. With its perfect cheese to sour cream ratio sitting atop a layer of delicious beans, it's a sip away from perfection. That's what we're looking for. Add a delicious, refreshing Pepsi and we've achieved absolute nacho nirvana. Because while you can pile those nachos high with every spicy, cheesy, savory topping, there's no topping a cool Pepsi finish. Nachos, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
Your Dallas Cowboys return home to take on the Green Bay Packers in the wild card round of the 2023 playoffs. Get ready to white out AT&T Stadium on Sunday, January 14th at 3:30 p.m. on Fox. It's time to seize everything. For playoff updates, visit dallascowboys.com/playoffs. Carpe Omnia, everybody.
Did you say seize everything?
I said seize everything.
Yeah,
Carpe
because
Omnia.
just kind of be. I was just talking with some friends in Dallas Cowboys merchandising, and just kind of be on the lookout as the week goes along. That's all I'm saying. If you want to seize everything for these playoffs, just kind of keep an eye open. Probably not today, but as the week goes on.
Yeah, shout out to the media team because the hype video was good.
That was really good.
It was dope.
Yeah.
Also, outside of the Star, I tweeted this. There's new Seize Everything Carpe Omnia banners.
That's dope.
So when you walk outside, usually there's banners of just all the players and everything. And
It's
I was
along
walking
the
in.
light posts.
Yeah, they were on the light post. I was walking in. I was like, "What looks different?" And then they have new Carpe Omnia Seize Everything posters on the light post. So if you're here
for playoffs,
come walk along the Star, come see them, and go see Jimmy Johnson's Star.
Yeah,
fun.
they got that done last week.
Yeah.
So there's a Star Walk with all of the restaurants and retail around the Star in Frisco. So instead of statues of the players, any of the gentlemen that are in the Ring of Honor, they are along the Star Walk. And instead of a statue of the player, they'll have like the number. So there's like an 88 for Irvin, an 88 for Drew Pearson. There's a fedora hat for Tom Landry, and then for Coach Johnson, just like for Tex Schramm, there's a blue star. And so it's kind of furthest down. It's just past Tricky Fish over on the corner. And by the way, if you're ever walking around, there are the 88 for Drew Pearson and the number 12 for Roger Staubach are strategically placed 50 yards apart from each other. Why? Why are the 12 and the 88 along the Star Walk, honoring Ring of Honor members, exactly 50 yards apart, Roger to Drew?
I'm trying to think where their placements are even.
Because that is the distance of the Hail Mary pass.
Ah,
And so those two, those are the only two along the Star Walk where they have their
so
hands and
creative
feet
here.
in the cement, kind of like out in Hollywood, along the
Yeah.
theater. And so anyway, and the feet, it's not just like saying Roger's feet are kind of angled, like when he's throwing a pass and
yeah.
that. So anyway, so when you come to the Star in Frisco, be sure to look for that.
there you go.
Do y'all know who wants to seize everything?
Oh no.
Harry Potter. You're giving a British accent. I'm
Harry
just trying to Oliver Twist.
The Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, okay.
I was thinking more Bridgerton, but
Now we know where your
man.
mind goes.
It's Leviosa, not Leviosa.
But no, Dak Prescott in one of the press game, post game, Lord Jesus, I can't even talk. Post game interviews, I think you pointed that out. Maybe someone else pointed it out. I can't remember. But they just told me how he was talking to Aaron Andrews and he didn't have
I
the.
tweeted about that.
Yeah, he didn't have the hat on, the It's a Lock hat on or any gear because he's like, I want more. He's not satisfied with just the NFC East title. And just with the way he's playing, you can see it. 31 of 36 passes for 279 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, and it came off of a little tip ball. Well, I guess we'll credit that. But he did say at the beginning of the season he was not going to have 10 interceptions.
said I'll lessen them. That's what he for sure said it.
He for sure said that.
I'll lessen.
Yeah. So to go
there was a
from
whole debate
a
about
year
that.
ago being the NFL's leader in interceptions to now the NFL's leader in touchdown passes, how good has it been for you all just seeing the growth of Dak Prescott the past couple of months, or really this whole season?
I think I talked about it a few months, about maybe a month ago.
Yeah.
That I just thought the quarterback wasn't getting enough shine of like his development in totality from the time he came in the league to what he is now. We talk about this league, we talk about the draft, and you want programs that can develop guys and stuff. He took his own initiative, but he also loves being coached, and he said that multiple times. And I really think that this is a real duo with Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott. You can't talk about the quarterback and then not talk about the play caller who has come in, asked for the quarterback's input. It's a very open door, and they've been working well together. And so for me, I think I want to give Mike McCarthy some credit too. Yeah. Because
Speak it.
he hasn't even done this in a minute. He hasn't been an OC in a minute. And so for him he hadn't called plays in a minute. So for him to come in, this is a new year for him too, kind of, because he also too, schematically, some of the things he was doing at the beginning of the season, he threw it out the door to adjust, like you were talking about, and to also to implementing the motion more, being able to have duality with your running backs, and also to getting the rest of the guys involved. It takes patience, but it also takes an understanding play caller. And I really feel like he's put these guys in the best situation he can, and also too, you're getting the best out of some of these players as well. So quarterback and the OC or the play caller are, you can tell they're simpatico?
Simpatico, yeah.
Simpatico. You can tell that they really get each other, and I think that's half the battle. I do think going into the playoffs is going to help them out.
Yeah, Mike talked about that today. And after Dak's post-game presser yesterday, he gave a lot of credit to Mike, and he just said his appreciation for Mike. And look, that hit the heartstrings. I was like, but it's awesome
I
to
agree.
see. It's awesome to see, because we were sitting here last year worried about how the offense was going to look going into the playoffs. Let's be honest with it. There was a lot of miscommunications, miscues, misfires that kind of led into the narrative that unfortunately Dak Prescott took the brunt of. You're not worried about those things anymore. In fact, what you've seen is a progression of this offense that's gotten better. They've had some lows, and guess what they did? They rebuilt off of them. They adjusted. They talked about it. They communicated constantly to get better. You're not seeing the same offense, and that's a good thing. But also, Mike makes a connection with Dak, yes, on the football field about the play calling. They have these Thursday meetings. But he said today that those Thursday meetings aren't just about football. They're about life as well.
Yep.
And he makes it a priority to connect with his quarterback outside of the game. Mike is such a player-first coach, and I think that aspect of his coaching is so underappreciated. He takes the time to get to know his players, their why. He allows them to sleep in their beds when they have home field advantage that week. To your point, Mike McCarthy has absolutely changed this offense for the better. This is only the start of it, and when you're winning 12 games for 3 seasons straight since for the first time since the 90s, you're doing something right. Yeah. You're doing it right in all the right ways.
Yeah, and in a season where there have been so many injuries to quarterbacks, the fact that he's stayed healthy, but the way that he's grown, his accuracy, his decision making.
Ooh, sis.
And then I'd also like to talk about player personnel department because the addition of Brandon Cooks was key.
Yes.
And Jake Ferguson taking that second-year leap.
Linda
Wells.
Give Linda some love.
Give Linda Wells, tight ends coach. Give Robert Prince, the wide receivers coach, credit. Jalen Tolbert taking a big leap as well. And we've seen him even more, as the season has gone on. So, and credit to the offensive line and the running backs because the protection was a big change for the running backs this year. And so the fact that they have not only kept Dak upright, that he started all of the games, and that's unusual these past few years in the NFL, but to have time to, go through his progressions and be able to make the correct decision and deliver the ball accurately. And the reason why I mention accuracy first is that Troy Aikman, he'll say that, when he's looking at quarterbacks, when you're evaluating quarterbacks at this level, the number one thing is accuracy. So that's why I mentioned that first.
Would you all rate Dak Prescott as one of the most elite quarterbacks in Cowboys franchise history so far?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
He's surpassed a lot of people.
Yeah, the numbers bear it out.
Yeah.
Now, if you go by numbers, then you'd say Tony Romo is greater than Troy Aikman and Roger Staubach. Now, I'm sorry. With this franchise, it's all measured in Super Bowl championships and success in the playoffs. And it's great. I love Dak Prescott as a human. I love him as a player. I love him as a leader. But until he has playoff success, and he knows this better than anybody else, he will be unfairly measured. Against Aikman and Staubach until he gets a Super Bowl himself.
I also think if he's the one that ends the 30-year dry spell,
oh my gosh,
he also takes a step up in becoming that kind of quarterback. Yeah. But even then, that's not enough. And he knows that. He'll say that. He doesn't want to just get to the NFC Championship. He wants to get to the Super Bowl. And what I really like about this matchup this week is, yes, it's the Packers. There's history with not only the Cowboys and recent playoff history, but Mike McCarthy and his past. What I really like about that is none of that matters to this team. Yeah. Mike keeps talking about, I'm not feeding into that narrative. Been there, done that. I learned lessons from that. I'm not doing that again. And we saw it happen last year. It was very overly emotional from everybody wanting to get this win from Mike, Mike going back to prove a point. They're not doing that this year. In fact, I really love their approach of hey, it could be anybody, and we're still going to go in there, and we're going to do our job. We're going to study. It does not matter who it is. And you can feel just such a different laser focus even in Mike's answers already from the last time that they played Green Bay. You can feel the difference. So I like the emotional approach that they're taking going into this week.
The good part, one thing that I will say about Dak, and if you listen to him, he doesn't say Super Bowl. He won't even say it.
Yeah.
He's like, we have other things, or I have something else bigger in mind, or he'll use, end. He was like, or that. He'll use or that game or something like that. And I've noticed that all through the season. It's like, I don't know if he's stitious or anything, but he just is like, he has not said Super Bowl. Yeah. And that just stood out to me. So, yeah, I'm ready to. I mean, that whole defense. They're like, y'all not going to talk about us?
No, we was going to talk about it tomorrow.
Po babies.
I just, had to break it up.
Well, I guess we have.
Because we still have.
How many days? 3.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah.
We have a long week.
Well, Also, too,
I know we had a short week last week. We're back in our regularly scheduled programming.
The run game. The run game getting its life together is helpful in this matchup coming up, y'all.
Oh, yeah.
Facts.
Oh, yeah. We have a lot to talk about.
We have lots to talk about. Lots to talk.
You going Bridgerton again? Or Harry Potter, whatever. I don't know.
You mentioned
You're going to come out with a wand?
you mentioned Chauncey on punt coverage or return coverage, and I thought that
I'm gonna bring a
special
wand
teams.
tomorrow.
I thought that special teams responded better this week as far as punt coverage and getting down and tackling
Agreed.
and putting them in situations where they had to go the length of the field this week too.
Yeah, and that wind, it was a trick. I knew that with the wind gusting the way that it did, that it was going to be adventures in special teams yesterday. Didn't anticipate a blocked punt or a blocked field goal, but the weather was definitely a factor on the kickoffs for sure.
All right, well, the Dallas Cowboys are in the playoffs as the number 2 seed. We'll talk defense tomorrow. That's a wrap for today's episode of Girls Talk Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw, the preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys. We'll see y'all Tuesday.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!